and welcome in to the Josh Ennis Show. It's Josh, it's Jilly, it is Luther, and we are glad you are with us today, whether it be live on Twitch, which we know a lot of you watch on there, and we appreciate that, or of course, you can watch us later. You can see clips on YouTube, and of course, just the normal podcast. Your everyday garden variety podcast that we do for you as well. Hey, it's Buck. That's the toy that Dr. Busby sent Luther. He likes Buck. That's his boy. That's his boy right there. That's Luther's new buddy. That is Buck. So he's a deer from what we gather.
Yep.
And Luther loves him.
This has been the one he's been bringing everywhere. Outside, to bed, up here for the podcast. So.
Yep.
Thanks, Dr. Busby.
Thank you very much, Dr. Busby, you angel of a woman, you angel, you saint, who puts up with our constant emails and our constant questions about our dog who is not even your patient. But you're such a wonderful lady. I do have to tell you that Dr. Busby, of course, of ToeGrips.com, that website is ToeGrips.com. And what do they do at ToeGrips.com? They help your puppies. That's right, not puppies in the King Jerry Lawler sense where we're talking about lady bosoms. No, we're talking about your actual puppies, your dogs. Go to ToeGrips.com and they've got these toe grips where they basically add traction to your dog's paws, like on the toenail, so your dog doesn't slide around on like wood floors. And your dogs can start slipping around like at random times, like Luther's kind of started to do. And that could be due to age, arthritis, or an injury, right? Which we think Luther has. We're taking him to another vet on Thursday to find out some more details there. But the toe grips can help your dog walk on the wood floors. So check those out. And of course, Luther takes the great joint supplement, Encore Mobility, which helps with the hip and joint flexibility, mobility and comfort issues, and restores vigor and vitality. So make sure you check out the website. It is ToeGrips.com. This is a great supplement, Dr. Busby's Encore Mobility. And before Luther tweaked his back or whatever it was he did, the boy was taking his Encore Mobility every day. I'm beginning to think that maybe he tweaked his back because you would have thought he was a puppy again with all the energy he had.
Yeah,
he was running around. He was crazy. He was awesome. So if your dog is maybe a little bit sluggish, maybe your dog is dealing with hip and joint issues, Dr. Busby's Encore Mobility could be the right answer for your wonderful pup. Check out the website. It's ToeGrips.com. That is ToeGrips.com. And if you use the promo code Luther, 10% off. Promo code Luther gets you 10% off. So make sure you check out the site. That is ToeGrips.com. 30-day money-back guarantee. If it doesn't work for you, Dr. Busby ain't going to hose you. She's awesome. Dr. Busby's husband, Mr. Dr. Busby, he is awesome. They've got so many great things. Dr. Busby's wonderful blog, which if you're not like us and have like instant access to Dr. Busby at all hours, I bet a lot of your questions can be answered in a blog. So check that out at our website as well. It is ToeGrips.com. That is ToeGrips.com. 10% off if you mention Luther by using that promo code, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So there you go. Can I confirm that we are ready to go today?
Yes, that is confirmed.
Thank you, Brock. Now, let's start here. We got a lot of stuff to get into today, actually. Had a busy show on 97.5 in which we were asking people if we talk enough sports on the Josh Ennis Show, because some people bitch about the fact that it's not all sports. But really what it comes down to, and it's pretty obvious what it comes down to, is the people that bitch and say we don't talk enough sports are people who disagree with what they perceive to be my politics.
I thought they just really wanted a breakdown of the inner squad games of the Astros here.
Yes.
I think that's what they need.
And I will not be doing that. And I don't think anybody would do that.
Full breakdowns.
Yes, absolutely. Why were you so sensitive with producer Nick saying the radio show is 30% sports talk? Because it's a bit, friends. Like every now and then, like, because Nick today goes, I think we only talk 30% sports. I over-exaggerate shit for the bit.
You're not going to believe this, but you used to do that with Jim, too.
Yeah. Like, newsflash, anytime Jim disagreed with me on anything, it was fake. I hate to ruin the party for you guys, but sometimes when you're hosting a solo radio show and you're looking for something to get people going, like I don't give a shit that Nick says we only talk 30% sports on the show. I did that because I'm trying to drum up a little bit of like back and forth, a little bit of that kind of, action. I don't give a shit if Nick thinks it's only 30% sports. He'd be wrong on that because we talk a lot more sports than that. But and by the way, all sports is controversy. All sports is politics. All sports is social justice warrior stuff. So we talk about what the hot stories are.
And Madden ratings.
But again, when I'm doing this show on 90, yes, that too. When I'm doing this show on 97.5, it's not the typical show I'm used to doing. I'm used to having you there. I'm used to having Jim there. I'm used to everything. I'm doing a solo thing. So when I do a poll, for instance, and I ask people to text and tweet in answers to a question, I'm just trying to move the conversation along. So that's why I do that stuff. Like, that was his honest opinion. It wasn't a fake opinion that he thought it was 30%. But my reaction to it, my, over-the-top reaction to it was done for the sole purpose of just generating a little bit of energy on the show. That is all. So, but we do welcome you into the show today. Nick Cannon, what happened to Nick Cannon? Because here's the thing about Nick Cannon that tickles me, right? So Nick Cannon, kind of like how Colin Kaepernick, grew out his fro, and then all of a sudden, he was, hard. Nick Cannon used to be just kind of a dweeb, kind of an unfunny, drumline, nerdy kind of guy. He wasn't nerdy, but, he wasn't cool in any way. He was just Nick Cannon. He was what he was. Then he bangs Mariah Carey, and, they spit out some kids, and good for him. More power to you. But somewhere along the way, Nick Cannon really became, this hardcore disciple of Louis Farrakhan. The dude's a loon. And that's fine. Be a loon. But with some of the shit this dude says, again, if it were a white dude saying things along, basically his views are basically he's like Black Daniel Carver, who of course was the Stern Show character, Daniel Carver, who was in the Klan, which was a real Klan member, Daniel Carver. But you'd listen to some of the stuff that dude said and you go, there's no way anybody actually thinks this. But then Nick Cannon rolls out and he puts on a turban, starts looking like the genie from Pee-wee's Playhouse. And then all of a sudden it's this guy's got takes and he's got thoughts and he ain't even woke. This dude ain't woke.
No,
this dude's a loon.
There's a difference.
He is a lunatic. And it's he's almost such a lunatic that he's non-threatening. I see people say this guy should be kicked off the air. I think he's such a lunatic that he might be completely harmless. Because I don't know that you can believe the stuff that he's saying, Old Greatness says, Nick Cannon is doing morning radio on hip-hop station in L.A. Thank you, Old Greatness, for filling me in on stuff that I already know. Thank you very much.
He used to do Top 40 radio in New York.
He used to be up at our station all the time, right? Because he'd be in town for something, and they'd give him a studio, and he'd be up there doing stuff on, what was it, AMP? Was he on AMP? Now in New York. Mm-hmm. And now he's on Power 106 in Los Angeles, I believe, right?
And he hosts The Masked Singer.
See, and that's the thing where the slope gets a little bit slippery with this Nick Cannon. You can think whatever weird bullshit things you want to think, and you can think that white people are somehow envious of black skin. All this, and I'll play the audio for you in a second. It's
bizarre.
It's bizarre. And you can think all that, but people lose jobs and people get in trouble just by saying they'd vote for Trump. How exactly does a guy keep a network television show? The radio part, I get. It's a black radio show, and there's going to be wacky shit, just like there's going to be wacky shit on Walton and Johnson or Rush Limbaugh, and I don't think those shows should be canceled. So if you're going to say wacky shit for your audience on a radio show, that's one thing. But dude comes out here on this Masked Singer show, and you're like, how does, I get why he survives it, because he's not a white guy saying racist shit. He's a black guy saying racist shit, so it's okay.
If it was a white guy saying this stuff, he would be off Fox in a second.
Well, if it was a white guy saying this shit, they'd be like, what the hell is this guy even talking?
That too. But he wouldn't be hosting The Masked Singer anymore.
Oh, absolutely he wouldn't be. But it is what it is. It's like Rush Limbaugh. When for whatever reason they put Limbaugh on NFL Countdown or Primetime, one of those many moons ago. And he said that, I believe the line was that the media is desirous of a successful black quarterback. And, of course, they whacked him immediately from there. Now, imagine that you get one of these loons like Nick Cannon on TV, and he's saying something, similar to that, which he does on his radio show. Just fascinating.
It's like if you're going to cancel one side, you got to cancel the other side too. This cancel culture shouldn't end at one side, but it does.
I would agree with that. Now, Nick Cannon on his radio show, I think he wears a turban during his radio show too. He's adorable. But here is Nick Cannon talking about the white devil.
Then let's go to what it really is then. When we talk about the power of melanated people, when we talk about who we really are as guys, and understanding that our melanin is so powerful and it connects us in a way that the reason why they fear black, the reason why they fear is because the lack that they have of it.
Number one, that's false. I can speak at least for this white guy. I do not fear black due to the fact that I am not black. I have no fear of black whatsoever.
So then when you see what, Dr. Francis C. Welsing talked about is that fear and that
just genetic annihilation,
deficiency of when you have a person that has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. That melanin comes with compassion.
So let me get this straight. So black people are just naturally compassionate people due to melanin is what I'm getting. So white people don't have it. So there's savages that need to get this melanin.
We're getting to the savages part. You haven't gotten to that
sorry,
yet.
spoiler alert.
You're ahead
my
of
bad.
yourself.
My bad.
Melanin comes with soul that we call it. We call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully.
You don't have to say anything carefully. You're black. What's gonna happen? You can say whatever dumb shit you want to say. No, like you're not going to be punished for it. The media is not going to attack you. Come on.
Are a little less, and where the term actually comes from, because I'm bringing it all the way back around to Minister Farrakhan.
To Minister Farrakhan. That's the root of your problem. Is that dude's a lunatic as well.
To where they may not have the compassion or the when they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, when they didn't have the power of the sun, that the sun then started to deteriorate them. So then they're acting out of fear. They're acting out of low self-esteem. They're acting out of a deficiency. So therefore, the only way that they can act is evil.
See, like when I hear stuff like this, and I see people criticizing me, and they're like, "No, the Nation of Islam is evil." Listen. It's the same way I feel when people say that there are Nazis, right? Like you hear about the Nazis. Like the Nazis are not the Nazis that you and I grew up knowing. They're not the Hitler Nazis. These are a bunch of rednecks who are, when I say harmless, my guess is they talk a big game and aren't doing much, right? It's almost so comical that we think that there are actual Nazis still out there that it's almost funny. That's how I feel about Nick Cannon, because any level-headed human being does not think this way, and I choose to believe that the vast majority of people are not this stupid. Therefore, I just laugh at this. I don't get worked up or angry over it. I just laugh at the idea that Nick Cannon believes this shit.
The only way they have to rob, steal, rape, kill, and
fight or flight,
in order to survive.
Exactly.
So then these people who didn't have what we had, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people.
Right.
They had to be savages. They had to be barbaric. Because they're in these Nordic mountains. They're in these rough, torrential environments. So they're acting as animals.
Right.
So they're the ones that are acting.
I like the dude who's sitting here and just like agrees with everything. It's like, absolutely. You're absolutely right with this absurdity.
That's his gym.
Actually closer to animals. They're the ones that are actually the true savages, and then they built up such this I don't want to say warrior, but they built up such this conquering barbaric mentality.
That was Nick Cannon today talking about the white.
Like, it's funny, but I've talked about how when Kanye goes on these insane rants, I'm just more intrigued by it because I just feel like Kanye's more well-spoken. Like, Nick Cannon, there struggled through that. There were times when you're like, what are you... You're not even putting a sentence together.
Yes.
It's just funny, like, how the difference is,
Well,
you know?
also, the guys like Kanye talk so fast and change gears so quickly, you don't have time to even question any particular thing. It's like, let me jump in. This dude's just a disciple of Farrakhan, and he sounds like an idiot.
Insane.
He sounds like an absolute moron.
I want to know who was listening to that, like, in their car, like, yep.
What do you mean?
That's it.
Dude, I hate to be the bear. Like, the audience is a black audience.
I've seen, though, but on Twitter, even the black folks are like, this dude has lost his mind.
Well,
Like,
okay,
nobody is taking him seriously.
Well, here's the thing. And again, I don't believe that all black people think that way. It's stupid.
Yes.
It's idiotic.
No, like, everybody is roasting him. All races
Okay.
are roasting him for being, like, insane. Like, what are you talking about?
But, like, it's fascinating to listen to that. Like I can't get worked up over it because getting worked up over that would almost make me feel like I'm a moron getting worked up over another moron. You just sit back and you laugh at it,
Yeah.
and you just find yourself tickled by it because it's so absurd,
So ridiculous.
and it's so crazy, and he's such an ass clown. Like, he's a total fraud. Like, he just throws on a turban, and if you notice in the video, he's got, like, his Malcolm X era type glasses on. Like, basically, it's like he watched a movie, like a how-to film about how to be a revolutionary, and then just kind of went with it. Like, all right, I watched my angry black man starter kit, and I ordered. It's almost like he ordered it on Amazon. Like, he saw a commercial run for it, like a late night infomercial runs for this, and it's like, hey, do you want to be an angry militant black man? Well, yeah, I think so. Do you want to lead a revolution? I absolutely would. Do you want to say really dumb shit that only a handful of people would ever even acknowledge? Absolutely. Well, good news for you. You can purchase our starter kit. It's available right now. And then, of course, the next commercial that would follow would be for the Trumpy Bear, which is a real thing.
Hear me out.
All right.
What if he was doing the Wheel of Troll?
Hear me out.
That's the only logical
He
explanation.
wasn't.
What you didn't hear before that clip started was he said, we're just trolling along
Yes.
at 7:30.
Now, according to Old Greatness, who is some media person, I don't know who this person is, or somebody that's just obsessed with media, Nick Cannon said that on his podcast, not on his radio show. Well, in that case, that's a much better decision on his part. I can't imagine talking up some Cardi B record like, hey, and oh, by the way, we're going to break down Farrakhan for you. Although, I mean, the Breakfast Club, I mean, their show is just all talk for the most part, right? There's not a ton of music in the Breakfast Club.
I think there's a good amount of music.
There is, but it's a lot of talk on the Breakfast Club. I also like that on Nick Cannon's bio on Twitter, it says the #1 syndicated radio personality. I don't believe that. I have a hard time believing that, considering that the biggest radio company in the country has a morning show, and that morning show is the Breakfast Club, and they put that show on virtually in every market they've got. So I find it hard. Now, is the Breakfast Club on in L.A.? I don't know that they are.
I think they
Because
no,
they're on,
maybe they're
because
not.
Power 106, is Big Boy still on in, I think Big Boy's still on in L.A. as well. He's on Real 92.3. Is the Breakfast Club on in L.A.? Now, they're obviously in New York, which is the #1 media market, and they're in Houston. They're in a whole bunch. I mean, they're in a ton of markets, and iHeart's pumping them into these markets where they have stations. There ain't no way that Nick Cannon is the #1 syndicated radio personality. That's absurd. But again, you can just put dumb shit in your headlines, and it's fine. I am curious, though. I don't think the Breakfast Club's in L.A.
They're not on in as many major markets as you think.
But they're on in a lot of markets.
Not real. I mean,
They're on in important markets.
there's a lot, but like I would have thought this list would have been much longer.
Okay, so they're on in New York, right?
That's their biggest market.
So the Breakfast Club, well, obviously it's the #1 market.
But then you've got Houston.
Okay, let me try to guess. I would assume they are on in the top 10. Are they on in Philly?
Yes.
So they're on in Philly. I would think no in Miami. I don't think they're on in Miami. Because
They're
that's more of a Hispanic market than a black market.
Yeah, they're on in Orlando.
Okay, so Orlando. So out of the top 10 markets, then I can't imagine that doesn't seem like San Francisco would be a fit, right? New York.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're on in Dallas.
Nope.
They're on in Houston.
Yep.
They're on in Philly.
Yep.
Atlanta. They may not be. No, because
They are.
okay, they are. I think that's a relatively new development, but I may be wrong.
Well, they just flipped that one station to an urban, I think.
Okay.
They put one of their.
What's the new name for urban? I forgot what the new format's called.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We
forgot.
can't say urban anymore.
So and I was DC,
I don't think they're in DC.
and they're not in Miami. I wouldn't think. So out of the top 10, Boston. I don't think they're in Boston.
Nope.
They do not like black people in Boston, so I would assume no.
Not in Chicago.
And they're not in Chicago. So they're in about, like, hey, 4 top 10 markets doesn't suck. I think they're in 4, right? St. Louis would be one they're in, I would imagine.
Yep.
I would imagine I won't think Portland. I'm trying to think of the top 25-ish or so mark. Are they on in Austin?
Nope.
No. Kansas City. That feels like one.
No.
No? Okay. Well, there's a big urban morning show locally in Kansas City.
Like I said, you think they're on like hundreds of stations. There's only 45.
Breakfast Club was barely on in Houston for a few years. Dude, Breakfast Club is still on in Houston. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but it's still on. Boston is closet racist. No, Boston is 100% I'm coming out flaming out of the closet racist.
I mean, you know, they are on in Portland. My bad. I missed that
Okay.
one.
But St. Louis, I'm trying to think of cities where urban radio would work the most, and then they would be on in a market like that because it makes sense,
Well,
right?
there's St. Louis, San Antonio, Beaumont.
I would imagine that they also put them in a lot of their smaller markets just because they're free, I would think.
Vegas, Portland, Champaign, Illinois, Dayton, Ohio,
So now you're starting to get to the smaller ones there. But dude,
Greenville, Columbus, Memphis,
oh, well, Memphis was an obvious one.
Jacksonville.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Good. Those are good markets,
Yeah.
right? So good for them. I find it hard to believe that Nick Cannon tops them in anything. First of all, who is he syndicated through? Like, I know that he's on Power 106, and I believe Power 106 at one point. Is that one of the stations that sold to the Hispanic guy?
I can't keep track. Honestly, I stopped paying this much attention to radio. I used to know all
You know
this
what? They
shit
might
back
still
in the
be
day,
owned by
but
Emmis. I think they were owned by Emmis, and then that might have been a station that sold. I'm not sure. But
he's on the Marullo media, so yes,
okay,
that
so
was
that's one that sold to the Hispanic media. Yeah, they also bought KLOS. So I would imagine that he's not in that many markets. I can't fathom, because here's the thing. You think about urban radio or black radio, right? Tom Joyner was like the biggest thing ever in kind of urban radio, then eventually urban AC radio. He left like a year or two ago, and Ricky Smiley, I believe, took over that show, right? So that show's on in a lot of markets. Breakfast Club is the more kind of progressive, young hip-hop show that's on in a bunch of markets. And then you throw in some other ones that are kind of like middling, like that Head Crack dude that took over for Ricky Smiley on his show.
Well, the first station in America to launch Nick Cannon's new syndicated daily show was Louisville, and he reached #1 there with his target audiences.
Okay, and that might be the only market that he's
This
in.
story just says Nick Cannon's nationally syndicated daily radio show wins key demo and first affiliate market.
Oh, that's great. And that sounds special and all, but guess what? He ain't the Breakfast Club. And I would argue that Nick Cannon is probably at the bottom of the barrel. Brooke and Jubal probably are are definitely a more impactful syndication. Now, granted, they're not urban, but just
Okay.
overall in urban radio music, there ain't no way this guy is in any viable market.
This story is from May 21st of 2020, so not that long ago, a couple months.
Mhm.
At the time, he says, it says Nick Cannon radio could be heard in Los Angeles, Portland, Oregon, Louisville, Kentucky,
What is up with Portland? Like, Portland's like, we'll take all your wacky shows. Come on, man.
Birmingham, Alabama, Buffalo, New York, Mobile, Alabama, Ocean City, Maryland, Amarillo, Texas, and Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah, he ain't the Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club's like, hey, we're in Atlanta, we're in Houston,
Yeah.
we're in New York, we're in Philadelphia, and he's over here like, well, listen, I'm in LA, but I'm also in Louisville.
#1 in Louisville.
Yeah, and listen, I ain't trying to shit on Louisville. If Louisville called today and was like, you want to come work, I'd probably go to Louisville, okay? I have nothing against Louisville, but give me a break.
Now I'm at the Skyview Networks, which is what he syndicated through.
That doesn't even sound like a real network.
And I'm reading, like, you can listen to, like, his scope shows and, decide if you'd like it on your radio station. But this is the poster. It's Nick Cannon Radio, from the front lines to your audience. Listening, understanding, and connecting.
And it's just a giant picture of him with his fist in the air at a Black Lives Matter rally.
Yes.
It just doesn't sound like that entertaining of a radio show. Like, I think Charlemagne's good at times. I think other times I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. Portland is a super progressive city, Josh. Basically Antifa headquarters. You know, your boy, multiple times, I'll say one time for certain, could have worked in Portland. I also had another opportunity not too long ago, but that fell through because, first of all, I don't think I'd ever go to Portland, because you're right. I think Portland, I'd get fired in Portland in 5 minutes. Can we all agree that I'd get fired in Portland in 5 minutes?
Probably.
And it's not that I have anything against Portland. And here's the funny thing about Portland. Here's a little nugget for you. So, like, guys like Michael Berry are on in Portland. That's one of his affiliates is in Portland. And you'd go, what the hell are you doing putting conservative talk radio on? That's not going to work in Portland. Here's the myth about a lot of these cities. Once you get out of the city proper and start getting out into the burbs and out, because like Portland allegedly is just tons of like farmland once you get out of the city. And a lot of people listen to the radio out there, and he does very well in Portland. So, but I had an opportunity, actually, and I won't tell you the radio station, but when I got fired in Philly, Portland was actually one of the potential landing spots. Like they called me like right out of the chute. Like Houston had called me, Portland had called me. I want to say Memphis had called me. Like I got a couple of markets.
I wonder if Portland would have worked out better than 790.
No. Well, it would have been. Well, first of all,
I
would have had to have done a different show in Portland.
These are the what
There's
ifs.
There's no way in hell that I could have gone into Portland and been like, so let's do all sorts of racial talk and shit. Yeah, there's no way that would have worked. Like the guy I was talking with a couple weeks ago is a wonderful guy. I was talking about his radio station, and we both agreed that I wouldn't fit. He was telling me some of the stuff that I would have to do for it to actually work on his station. And he goes, first of all, I think your energy level is at a 10, which is really good. And I said, well, what do I need to be at to help you out? He goes, about a 6. Can you turn your energy down to a 6? And I'm like, I don't know that that's going to be a good fit. And then he said, also, you have to be extremely sensitive to racial issues. And I'm like, I love black people. Everybody knows this. It is well documented. But you know damn good and well that it's probably not going to go over well. So it's probably for the best that we just end this conversation. We shall remain friends, but it's probably not for the best. But Portland, I actually had multiple conversations with Portland after I got fired. And like they were talking about a really big deal to go to Portland. And they're like, we'll put you on all these stations. And I was like, kind of interesting. But here's the funny part. So there's a guy by the name of Dino Costa. And if people think that I'm like alt-right, which I'm clearly not, if you listen to Dino Costa, you'd probably be like this dude is like super alt-right, right? And he used to do nights on Mad Dog Radio on Sirius XM. And he and Mad Dog didn't get along, and eventually he got fired from there. Somehow Portland decided to hire this guy. One thing, like I liked it because I just thought he was so out there and random that I kind of enjoyed the show. Listen, and you know who liked him? Meltzer. Meltzer loved this dude.
That's kind of surprising.
Who is clear, like he is like the definition of like alt-right dude. And Meltzer loved this show. He and I would like text each other, like, did you hear what Dino said today? This shit's out of control. I remember one day I'm listening and he's breaking down how he wants the All-Star game to be segregated, black players versus white players. And I'm like,
okay.
So he gets fired over at XM. Somehow, this radio station in Portland is like, you know what? We're going to hire this guy. And he gets fired in Portland. The job that I like, he gets this job. And after he gets this job, within weeks, he gets fired. And I think he got fired because he talked about like asking, he said something about there were protests. I think this is probably around, 2016. So like this is right in the middle of Black Lives Matter and police protests and all that. And I believe he said something along the lines of telling people to run over people that were in the street.
That'll do it.
And then he was gone. He was out. So that did not last long for him, and it probably wouldn't have lasted long for me. I think one of the things that helps me more so, like the reason I don't sound as harsh, and I'm not saying these guys are bad radio hosts, but like a Mark Levin or Sebastian Gorka, guys who are like real hardcore conservative. And I don't give a shit if you're hardcore conservative or not, but it's pretty clearly that, it's pretty clear that I'm not I'm not hardcore conservative. Hardcore conservative doesn't get on the internet on Twitter like I did today and go, holy shit, Trump's been brutal for 20 minutes today on this press conference. That's not what a hardcore, what a hardcore conservative would do. So that's clearly not me. But like, I think what saves me is there's a little bit of there's humor in what I do. And I'm kind of, at least my thought, like a lot of my opinions, people consider them right wing. I consider them common sense. But a lot of people what saves it is I have a sense of humor about things. A lot of these conservative people do not have, these conservative media people
You
do
also
not
make-
have a sense of humor.
You make fun of both sides, really.
Oh, I make fun of everybody.
Yeah.
I'm fair. I think I'm fair about that. Yes, do my viewpoints lean, I don't want to even say my viewpoints lean right, because this is kind of a new world we're in terms of like social upheaval, right? So like if you say, Josh, your viewpoints lean right, and I would go, well, I'm pro-choice. Is that a right-wing viewpoint, an alt-right viewpoint? I'm not one of these people that gets up and says liberals only care about lives unless they're killing babies. I'm not doing any of that shit. I don't care if people take a knee during the national anthem. I don't think the national anthem should be played at sporting events, okay? So, it's I try to tell people this all the time. They're like, you're right-wing. No, it just so happens that on racial topics, which are the hottest things out there, people view me as a racist or a bigot based on my viewpoints. But then you play the audio from Stephen A. Smith yesterday, and what did we get yesterday on that? The exact same shit Josh Ennis says what Stephen A. Smith is saying. So get you some of that action.
Now listen.
Get you some of that. But just in case you were wondering,
I'm not a bigot, but I'm allowed to be one.
so you know,
Just so you know.
I don't want to be a bigot, and I'm not a bigot, but you know what?
I'm not a bigot, but I'm allowed to be one.
Thanks, Coach Dave.
Coach Dave's here dropping bombs on everybody. Anyway, before we get into anything else, let's get into some discussion about sponsors. Let's see. Tony here on the chat says, remember, Josh, you didn't get fired. You got canceled. Love you, bro. We don't want to get into that discussion again because Jilly will not even give me the benefit, the courtesy of acknowledging that I got canceled. I'm like one of the original canceled
There was
people.
no social uproar for you to be fired.
Oh, there was plenty
Your
of uproar.
bosses just fired you.
I would argue there was more uproar to fire me over the previous thing that I got suspended for than the Al Jolson.
But there
thing.
weren't like rallies and there weren't internet campaigns. You weren't canceled. You just got fired.
Can you let me have it? Like anything ever.
No,
You never
because-
let me have anything. I just want, one day, I want to be able to tell people, I'm trying to build my brand here. If Nick Cannon's Twitter bio can say he's the #1 syndicated radio personality, why can't Josh Ennis say, I'm the OG canceled? Why not?
Because I don't think you want to be canceled. If you think your career is in the toilet now, if you were actually canceled, you wouldn't even be doing
Maybe.
the Josh Ennis show on this podcast.
I don't know that that's true. Oh, no, I'd still have a podcast. There'd be a podcast because these people understand the truth. The people that are out there that are awesome.
Well, if you were truly canceled, Twitch wouldn't let you on their platform, so.
Oh, that's true. All right, so who am I telling them about, Jilly?
Mac Knight Safety Solutions.
All right, Mac Knight Safety Solutions. They are in the business of safety. What do they do for safety? What is their business? Well, they're a safety, staffing, and consulting company located in Rosenberg, which is here in the Houston area. Hey, here's a good way of, okay, can we go with this? Bob Sugar has a good one. Josh was soft canceled. Is that fair?
I guess. I mean, you were fired.
I was fired. Of course I was. But I think, can I have soft canceled, semi-canceled?
I mean, you just got fired.
Nobody ever lets me have anything. Josh wasn't canceled for anything specific. He just rubbed people the wrong way. That's not canceled.
Yeah, he got fired.
What about canceled light? What about, I was the Splenda of canceled. I was the margarine of canceled. I was the Diet Coke of canceled. Just 1 calorie, not canceled enough. Let's see. Josh got fired. They used his bits as an excuse. Hard. This guy. I don't like you. I don't like you, friend. I don't like your attitude. I don't like your negativity. I think I got canceled, at least semi-canceled. I was partially canceled, and nobody will ever acknowledge this.
You got fired.
I guess you'll also be glad to know that I have not gotten an email back from Philadelphia. I'm sure that'll
What do you
tickle
know?
I'm sure that'll tickle you. I'm sure you're going to laugh your ass over there now.
You don't say. Boy, who would have saw that one coming?
Who would have thunk it, huh? Who would have thunk that? All right, but I do have to tell you about Mac Knight Safety Solutions. They work nationwide and international projects. When companies have a temporary need for safety oversight on projects, they use the folks at Mac Knight Safety Solutions versus hiring their own people. They work in industrial and commercial construction, oil field and manufacturing facilities, and also conduct facility audits for regulatory compliance and assist their clients with developing and maintaining comprehensive safety programs. What does this do exactly? This aids them in obtaining work and reduces costs associated with workers' comp insurance and reduces the employee risk and possible fines associated with non-compliance. They've been at it for, they're just awesome people. They're awesome people. We love them. Travis and everybody, they're good people. 832-363-1295. 832-363-1295. Mac Knight Safety Solutions. Who is next?
Metro Ready Mix.
Metro Ready Mix. They are in the business of concrete. That's right, everybody. Concrete is their business, and business is good. You know, we heard from Richard. He joined us. He was part of the show. He was in the chat yesterday. He says they're just out there doing work. Well, they did it. They're doing work. 713-991-6466 for Metro Ready Mix. And I know that Richard explained a lot of it yesterday, but there are, what do you need? Slab work and foundations, patios and driveways, parking lots, pool decks. They can do it all for you, and they will do it well. They've been at it for a long time. They are trustworthy and wonderful, and we love them. And, hey, good for them. They have done an amazing job, and we love that they're part of the crew. If they're good enough for guys like, I don't know, the Dream, Hakeem Olajuwon, Sam Cassell, they're good enough for you. So 713-991-6466, or in Crosby, it is 713-677-9699. Check them out. It is our friends over at Metro Ready Mix. There you go. Is that everything for today there, Jilly?
That's it.
That is it. That is it for everybody. That is it for all of that. So, let's see. You should go work for Sports Map Radio Network, launching on July 27th. I would have to ask them about Sports Map Radio Network, but my guess is that would be based, or are they just going to change the name of what the hell, Yahoo? What the hell is the name of the network up there now? Because that's the same building. That's going to be our building, I would imagine, because
Right.
Sports Map is GAL. So I would imagine they're just taking the same stuff they already have on the network and doing it that way, if I had to guess, right? I would assume. I don't even know what the network's called. Is it Yahoo still?
I thought it was Sports Map.
No, it's not called Sport. No, it was called Sporting News at one time, and then it was Yahoo. I don't think it's Yahoo anymore. The hell is the
I don't
name of
think
the
it's been
network?
Yahoo for quite some time.
What the hell is the name of the damn network? Because if they're changing the name to Sports Map, what is it? I forgot. I can't believe I don't remember the name of the network. I think it's Yahoo.
SB Nation.
Oh, it's SB Nation. That's it, because Yahoo doesn't exist. Okay. So then what they're going to do is, because they've got their network, which is SB Nation. I can't believe I didn't remember that, but I don't remember anything, so I guess it's believable. So SB Nation would then become, so they're going to call it Sports Map, whoever this person who's an insider. I'm curious.
This mystery person.
This mystery person who knows everything, knows all the insight. Didn't they try Sports Map Radio already on 94.1? A little bit different. I just think that's a branding thing, if I had to guess. Josh, any updates on Go Fishing? No, but Dad had some sort of rap party for it this last weekend, so they probably had Rona Fest 2020 over at
he
Dad's
had
house.
it looked like 25, 30 people in their kitchen.
I don't know that it was 25 or 30, but it's his
That's a good
prerogative.
amount,
That's
yeah.
what they want to do.
I'm glad we didn't go that weekend. I would have been a
I'm
little
glad,
nervous.
too.
I would have been a little nervous.
Oh, totally. But, they had a big to-do over at Dad's house to celebrate Go Fishing the movie. And that's the latest I've heard of it. But there was a rap party. They had a rap party for it. But I don't know the end result of the movie. I think Dad may still be editing. Just because they wrap the movie doesn't mean it's done, right? They still have to edit the movie and everything.
I do feel like he should get this on Netflix. I feel like Netflix is just adding anything now. They've been looking for content. I think I think this can happen.
Oh, I think so, too. At least Amazon. Like, he's got to start reaching out to these people. He's got to use that pull he has. He's like, hey, I was once, I do Scooby sometimes. So you got to get my shit on Netflix. I saw today that the Patriots were saying that they would top out at about 20% capacity for their games if they do have fans in the stands. So they'd go 20%. And that would mean about 13,000 people at games. I wouldn't want to go to a sporting event with 13. Now, I want to be clear. It's one thing if it's 13,000 people in a 13,000 seat venue. That's different.
A little different.
But if it's 13,000 people in Gillette Stadium, which seats about 70,000, what fun would, why would you want to get up on a Sunday? Why would you want to, I say battle traffic? Obviously, traffic won't be nearly as bad as it is, but I'm assuming tailgating won't exist in some of these places. You have to still pay tons of money to get into the game. When you're in the game, will you have to use a text type of system to go get your beers?
Well, that was that one story I read a couple months ago. Was it the Dolphins that said like the whole thing would be like ordering from your seat and requesting a time to go to the bathroom and leaving like it's church. You leave like an aisle at a time.
See, I don't like that at all. Like, Luther, wake up, buddy. Wake up. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. What would be the fun in that? Like the only reason you go to a sporting event is for kind of the camaraderie, right? You go because it's fun to be there. There's tailgating, there's booze. But all of those things, you can also get them at home with a better view of the game, a more comfortable view of the game, no traffic, no bathroom lines, cheaper beer. Like, what incentive would it, like, who would, I guess my question would be, who would want to do that? Like, what type of dude would be like, yeah, I really want to go sit in a stadium that seats 70,000 people and put 13,000 in it and be one of the people. It would be a dull, boring time. It would cost too much money. I'd have no interest in it. Wake up, buddy. Luther's over there dreaming. Luther, what are you doing? Let him be.
He was like shaking, so I had to wake him up.
He's fine now. But I'm curious, like, I wouldn't. Would you want to? Like, I know you like going to games, right? You like going to the Texans games. Like, would you want to go to a Texans game if only 13,000 people were in the game?
Not if I was paying the same price as a normal ticket.
And not only that, I could argue they might charge you more, right? Like, would that be fair to
You
say?
would
Like,
think.
because it'd be like a premium.
They got to make up some sort of the profit.
And not only that, how about the fact that, like, you've been to preseason games before. So basically the atmosphere in an NFL game, if this comes to fruition, the atmosphere in an NFL game, in a regular season game, it would be the same as the fourth preseason game in the third quarter. About 15,000 people there.
You'd know the people on the field at least.
Yeah, you would know that, but I'm talking about the atmosphere, the fun of it. There is no fun in that,
The
Like, I'd
odds
rather
are pretty
sit
good
at home.
if you were trying to catch a T-shirt maybe, but I don't think you can throw out T-shirts because those are germs.
Yeah, I would have no interest in going to these games. Again, and I don't know
And
what
if
was,
you have to wear a mask, especially, which I think some teams have said if they are going to be fans, you would have to wear a mask. No thanks.
Yeah. Benny on the radio says you'd at least make some money to employ some stadium workers, but it's also not really worth it. It's not. Like, I would have no interest in going to these games. Like, I'm trying to think if, like, I love going to the Dome, but imagine the Dome. I don't know if they've had the renovations or not, but you know how tight the corridors are in the Superdome when you get down to that bottom level there in the field level. It's impossible. Like, it bottlenecks down there. It's terrible. So that would suck. But 13,000 people. Basically, if you want to know what it would look like, go watch one of the old Tulane football games that were played in the Dome. They usually had about 10,000 people in there. It'll look like no, you know what? Take a look at the high school football championships in Louisiana some years that take place in the Dome, and you'll see a stadium that's, 3/4 empty, if not more, like 80% empty. And I don't know. And I saw today in Philadelphia, they were talking about, the initial story said that even though there are going to be no big gatherings out in the streets of Philadelphia until February.
Unless it's a demonstration.
Unless the demonstration, and I think the Eagles were exempt at first. But from what I gather now, that's not the case. So, like in Philadelphia, people are not going to be going to Eagles games. Now, I would imagine something could change if the NFL allows these things to happen, then they would fight this. That's a weird situation because these people are lunatics there. And, I mean, you've seen the tailgating at Eagles games.
It's also a weird situation for the mayor just to say no concerts, no gatherings, no nothing till 2021. Like, okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's and you know that Kenny is enjoying the hell out of the fact that that they're not going to have the mummers because that's like the bane of his existence. But like looking at Philly right now, like I'm assuming like part of the I'd argue the most fun about going to most games is the tailgating in most places.
Yep.
Like tailgating in New Orleans isn't great because there's really no tailgating
Well,
in
but
New
the whole
Orleans.
city is tailgating.
But it's
like
fun.
any bar there, you can just walk down the street with alcohol. That's just tailgating
Correct.
all over. Yeah.
Correct. But it's also not like your typical, hey, we're all out in the parking lot tailgating. It's not Kansas City. It's not being out at LSU. It's not being out in Houston. It's different in New Orleans. Whereas in Philly, you just got giant parking lots filled with Neanderthals that are out there, some of whom are fighting other teams' fans, some of whom are fighting their own fans, some of whom are hammered. And it's just a hell of a time. It's a wild time. So are people not going to be tailgating? So even if you let 14,000 people into the game, which I'd really have no interest in doing if I were any of those 14,000 people, do you let people tailgate, right?
Well, they would probably, my guess would be then they would have to kind of do the policy like they do here in Houston, where you have to have a ticket to tailgate. Like they will not let you tailgate at a Texans game unless you show them your ticket. If you're pulling in with your car, they will check for 4 tickets if there are 4 people in that car.
No, I get it.
So that's what I would imagine what they would have to do is they wouldn't, if you're coming off the train, they'd stop you and say, all right, where's your ticket?
Good luck, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you're going to enforce that. I mean, and I also don't know that McDougal's going to sit there and just try to fight his way through to go tailgate, knowing that he'd eventually get caught anyway. But I think here's where I think you'd run into a bad spot. If you're going to do anything like that, you have to completely eliminate all tailgating, right? Like, you have to, like, there can't be any. It can't even be, hey, you can tailgate if you have a ticket. Why would you not do that? Because if anybody's allowed there, that opens up the possibility of other people just like, screw this, I'm going out here. So you have to completely eliminate that.
Well, it works here. It works in Houston.
Okay. Philly and Houston are different universes. Like, and it's harder. It's like to even get on the grounds to tailgate here. Like, there are a bunch of gates and everything you have to go through, right? Like, and I get that that's the same way in Philly, but like, say you take the train. Now, maybe they just stop the trains. But why would you allow people to go to a game if you're going to stop the train?
Just like when you get off the train, there's 2 exits to get off the train. You would have somebody there checking tickets. That's what they do here, too.
But I think that you'd, I don't think they should allow anyone to tailgate. If you're only going to have 14,000 people, there should be no tailgating. But the thing is, and here's what we keep hearing about, is that when you're outside, the transmission isn't the same, right? Like we hear that a lot. Like outside, everything's fine. That's the same shit they say about protests, right? The protest argument is, well, they can protest because outside it's not the same as being in a building. Then what would be the difference in being in a football stadium, right? Here's my problem. If 60,000 people can protest, and you tell me that those 60,000 people standing shoulder to shoulder at a protest in Houston caused none of the Rona outbreak, then how can you tell me that at an outdoor stadium with 60,000 people standing shoulder to shoulder, that the outbreak wouldn't get worse there? How can you actually tell me that?
If you believe Sylvester Turner, the mayor of Houston, it's because the protesters are just marching. They're constantly moving. They're not buying food. They're not touching seats. They're not staying in hotels. That's his excuse for it.
Like, when I hear I think people are making shit up as they go. I think that's part of the problem.
Obviously.
It's just like, well, today it's something new. I did see that there's allegedly a vaccine that they think has a chance. Like it's in its final stages of being tested out this month, and maybe they have their vaccine. I just don't understand how, as America, where we're allegedly the greatest country in the world, and we have the smartest people in the world, and we have the greatest doctors in the world, how is it that we're at a point where we're getting the shit kicked out of us by this thing and can't seem to figure out the answer?
Did you see this story from Orlando where they found out like the labs were like really flubbing the positive test?
Oh, that's my favorite story of the day.
They were reporting 100% positive, and really it was like 9% positive.
And I don't know the total numbers of people, so I don't know if it was 10 people they tested in one spot or if there was 100 or how many people. I think the number might have been in the thousands, like 4 or 5,000. But I saw that same story. And I'm reading that today, and you wonder if it was negligence or if they're just idiots or if it was deliberate. But if it's happening there, then it's got to be happening other places. You know, you would think that across the country, if Florida can screw it up, like, because nobody, like, my favorite thing that I've read, like today I was, maybe Lesbian Rachel sent me a tweet, and I was talking about this on the air because we were asking if there was anybody we knew who had the Rona, and both she and Salisbury have had the Rona. But I was talking about just the ridiculous testing and how testing, it seems to be, it's widely varied. Like, for example, Joey Gallo took 4 tests. 2 of them were positive, 2 were negative. She said that she had a friend who took 1 test and it was negative and 1 test was positive like a day later. Like, I'm not saying that the Rona's a conspiracy, and I'm not saying that the Rona's fake. It's real. It's killed people. It's a serious thing. So I'm not saying that it's fake. I'm not one of these wackos. Wear a mask. Go for it. I wear a mask everywhere. Wear a mask. Be safe. Wash your hands. Do whatever you can. But I will tell you this.
Now listen.
We're going to find ourselves at a point here, if it's next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and down the road, we are going to find out that there was a lot of fucked upery happening during this.
Well,
some good old-fashioned fuckery was happening during all of this, and we're going to all look back and say, holy shit, we got played.
Well, because these aren't just like small differences here. These are huge errors. Like if just in this one place alone, Orlando Health. Reports showed that Orlando Health had a 98% positivity rate.
Yep.
However, when Fox 35 News contacted the hospital, they confirmed errors in the report. Orlando Health's positivity rate is only 9.4%.
How is that possible? So
Not
that's 100 people.
98.
So that's 100 people. You were saying that either 100 people, where it was 98%, so 98 people tested positive, or 9.
Yeah.
That is a massive difference.
So it's not just like a few, like 5, 10, that's a gigantic.
That's a huge number. And I'm telling you, and I don't know how many years down the road it's going to be, but we will look back, and this will come back in 5, 10, 20 years, and we will look back on this, and we will say some shit went down here, and there was some real dirty shit happening, some seedy shit happening. We're going to look back on this, and it's going to be that. Some real deep fuckery was going on here.
I kind of feel like all you have to know about is that Lenny Dykstra is pimping coronavirus tests.
He might be the only honest one.
Would you trust the coronavirus test from Lenny Dykstra? I don't know that I would.
Does that make any sense to you?
I think I would. I might trust Lenny's test. I mean, his test can't be any more wrong than the test that Joey Gallo was taking, where 2 tests are positive and 2 tests are negative. It can't, like, we can sit here, we can make fun of him all we want, and we can say, oh boy, what about Lenny Dykstra? And yes, Lenny Dykstra's kind of loony. I get it. But his test can't be any more wrong than the other.
So you're not funny.
So, geez.
And then every time that Joey Gallo, for example, tested positive, that's like added to the percentage. Like, so he counts as 2 people that tested positive? Like, it's 2 separate tests.
Did we ever find out if either, I haven't heard that Harden's got the Rona yet.
I haven't heard anything. There's been
But
no
there's also
updates.
George Springer sat out their intra-squad game today, I believe, because he was being tested for the Rona and was waiting for the results.
Yeah, the same thing happened to Bregman the other day. Sometimes their results are just delayed magically.
What was the name of Lenny's test? Like, the website was this long, convoluted name.
It's like coronavirustesting.net. Didn't he send you that email that he sent Warren Buffett? I'm sure it's in there.
I probably have that email still.
Maybe you should email Warren Buffett.
I should.
Maybe
be
now's
like,
the time.
What is happening here, Warren?
Maybe he'd like to come on the show Saturday.
And Joe says, nobody's been on the same page since the jump. From Trump to any small town mayor, nobody was on the same page, and they aren't. And nobody will ever be on the same page. It's out of control. I'll tell you who I don't trust, though, and this is not a Trump-related thing at all, because I don't trust Trump either. I don't trust any of these people. But I'll tell you who I really have no trust for: Fauci. But you saw what happened. Basically, here's what Trump did.
Fired!
He got rid of old Fauci. Because and here's what's amazing to me is the number of people that can't acknowledge that Fauci is fallible, right? Because anytime if you dare question Fauci, who dismissed masks at one point, almost laughed at the idea of masks, and said that this was not going to impact America in a negative way, right? That guy, if you even throw that out, it's automatically, hey brother, you're MAGA. Well, first of all, they wouldn't sound that way. It'd be like, you're MAGA, and you're a Trumper, and why don't you go burn a cross? Oh yes, I'm going to listen to some asshole on the internet over a world-renowned infectious disease doctor.
Fired!
Well, guess what, kiddos? The dude's wrong sometimes because nobody knows what the hell is going on. You can't even get a straight answer on masks. There's conflicting ideologies about masks. Some people are like, yeah, masks are great. Others are like, doesn't really do anything. You said you knew someone who was wearing a mask, right? Who wore a mask nonstop and got the Rona.
She was like hardcore, making sure she wore a mask everywhere. Like she followed the rules to a T and still got the Rona.
Correct.
I also saw some story today where there's some report that says you should turn off your air conditioning to stop spreading the Rona.
There's so much. Today
knows
is like
if
a
that's
super
even true?
duper
Like-
dumb. Like they're just trying to kill us at this point. They're like, well, go to melt. It's 110 degrees in Houston. Turn off your air conditioning so you don't spread the Rona. And then Burger King's using different cows that don't fart as much.
How angry? I think that might be what you're most angry about.
I
is
think
that
that's
they're
where if they fuck with the Whopper and that meat, I swear I've already lost my mind. It's well documented. My mind has been lost.
They're
But I
going to
will tell
change
you,
the formula. It's going to be like new Coke, new Burger King.
But if they screw with the burger, with the meat at Burger King over farting fucking cows, I will lose my mind.
That'll be what finally does it.
That is what's going to put me over the damn top.
Holy smokes, John.
Like I'll tell you, if these jabronis, because the Whopper is really the only good thing in life anymore. The plain Whopper, meat and bread, dip it in some ketchup. That's my favorite thing to eat after a hangover. I like to drive over to Burger King and get a number 2, or in this case, a double Whopper meal, plain, meat and bread. She'll say, do you want cheese? No, I don't want cheese. I want meat and bread, plain, fries, soda pop, some ketchup to dip it in. That makes me feel better after a night of drinking. If they come out and they screw with my Whopper, I'm telling you, I mean, it is over. Oh, wait, the farting cows are I think they're here. That's it. That's what's going to happen now. I hope you guys are, we got an interview with them. Hey, how do you guys feel about, the change in cows for the meat? It also makes it screwed up. It's like, we're interviewing a farting cow, and these are the cows that are going to have to get butchered to go in my belly. I've seen some bad shit in the last couple of months. It's been a bad couple of months.
That was the one.
But whenever they start talking about the Whopper, that's when things go nuts.
They already got the Impossible Whopper.
You ought to have them put the fries on your Whopper. I do it myself. I put fries on that bad boy. Put a little ketchup sometimes. The reason they started remember when Burger King started selling like that $1 burger that had fries on it? I came up with that.
Do they still have French toast sticks there? Those are
They
tasty.
do. And Burger King has great French toast. And don't you forget it.
Do they have them all day? Didn't they have them all day for like a short period of time?
I don't think they do, though. I think they stop them whenever breakfast is over.
That's stupid.
Like the croissant and shit, don't care about it. But
Well,
you know
they
what your
should
boy
serve,
loves?
Yeah, the French toast sticks all day.
Oh, God, those are so good. Those were heavenly.
Actually, we made them in the air fryer once, and they were also pretty tasty. And now I kind of want to go to the store and get French toast sticks.
All right, we got to go for a car ride in a second anyway. So, okay. So we're going to stop over at Kroger, and we are going to get French toast sticks that you will put in the air fryer.
Oh, they're going to be good.
Ooh, and you got to get some syrup, though.
We have some, because you were
Do we?
supposed to make pancakes on the griddle we bought and used once. You never made pancakes on the griddle that is now sitting on the floor of the pantry.
Yes, that is confirmed.
You were so excited about that damn griddle.
I know, and I used it like 2
You
times.
bought like a bacon press and everything.
And now I haven't used it in a while. That's how I get. I get really excited about things for about 3, and something like the air fryer. I was excited for it for much longer, and I still am.
I'm still excited
But
about the air
you
fryer.
prefer, like, I just let you use it over, me.
You like for a week. You're right. About a week, you were really into like just throwing everything in there, and you wanted to do it yourself. Now
Now it's a different world. It's a different world for me. I tell you,
ooh, French toast sticks.
we have to get some, and
And again, we've been eating like I just said earlier. Wow, we've been doing good. It's Tuesday. We've had like ground turkey cutlets. Like we've been doing turkey 2 nights in a row. That's good for us. Nope.
nope.
Now
Not
we
when
say
there's delicious treats to be
we
had.
have to go air fry some French toast sticks.
Boy, that just sounds too damn tasty to not get.
God damn it!
I did see an inside radio story. I haven't read it yet. I'm like Trump. I'm just kind of reading these as I go. It's like what I loved
Also,
about
wait,
Trump
before
today.
you get onto that, it's also important to note that I'm going to the store tomorrow for our weekly grocery run.
Yep,
But I gotta have them now.
that's true.
Damn it!
What I enjoy though is I'm watching Trump, and I'm not a Trump hater. I'm also not a Trump, Trumpkin. You're a Trumpkin, but I'm watching this today, and it's almost like he's using this as a campaign rally.
I think he had his speech ready for the rally in New Hampshire on Saturday, and obviously he canceled it. And I think he just didn't want that speech to go to waste.
But here's my problem with it.
'Cause there was
if
no-
that's what he was going to be doing, that would have been a shitty speech. And I understand what he was trying to do. I get that he was trying to tell you what Biden's like doing and how he's going to ruin the country. The issue I had is it wasn't authoritative. It was just like him kind of thumbing through some shit that he had just been handed
I think
and
that's
had no idea what any of it was. So he
that's
was just
what
kind of reading and commenting.
he was going for, yeah. I think
Well,
that was the
but that's not
tone.
what he should have been going for. It was, as Sean says, it was a mini rally, and it wasn't good. Like, if you're going to do that, go out there and hammer home that the guy sucks if you're going to filibuster and use all that time to do it. Don't come at me with, like, well, that's nice. Yeah. Like, he's basically commenting as he's reading this. Like, I would have preferred that he had, at least had a little something about each one, but instead he was just commenting as he went along. But I saw this, and I haven't read it. 2020 at midpoint. Radio CEOs say year will bring some long-term changes. Well, of course it will.
Yeah, there'll be no people working in radio.
Yes, exactly.
Boom. Figured it out.
Exactly. But my biggest thing is I think they're going to get rid of buildings. I think a lot of these radio stations are going to have some buildings. They're going to have a place where all the stuff is. But I think people are going to be more and more working from home. They're going to work out of smaller buildings. They're not going to pay tons of rent to be in these giant buildings. It doesn't matter. They're going to start to realize things like here's one thing I hope comes out of that, okay? One of the big things I hope comes out of it. And I think we saw this with Westwood One, and I hate to see people lose their jobs. That sucks. But they're going to learn that nobody turns on the radio for news. They turn on the radio for opinion and music, I guess, but mostly opinion in the spoken word format. Nobody's like, oh, it's the top of the hour. Let me flip over to my local news talk station so I can hear the latest headlines. You can get every headline on your phone in 10 seconds. And the argument I get from people is, well, what about people that just want to be able to flip on the radio and hear? Those same people have a phone, and they get little pings on their phone, and they find out what the big stories are. Nobody is waiting on news, which, by the way, radio news, most of the people working on radio news are not gathering news themselves. They're just going, ripping and reading it from a website, right? They're not out finding news. They're just taking other people's stories, repackaging them, and delivering them. We don't need it. We don't need 5, 6, 7 minutes of news at the top of the hour on talk stations. Get back to the opinions. There's one thing that should change. And this should be here's what they need to eliminate the money they're using on news people and all of their news resources and put that money back into finding the entertainment and put the entertaining people on the radio and pay them. Now, before we get out of here today, well, first things first, I will have to say we have to bid adieu to our friends on the podcast side today. So
It's been fun.
Goodbye, friends. All right, now that that's done, we'll talk with you guys for a few more minutes.
But only a few because I got to go to Kroger.
Yeah, we got to get French toast sticks.
Normally, we're Team HEB, but I know for a fact that Kroger has French toast sticks.
And that's the life we're about.
And I'm going to HEB tomorrow, so
So you want to keep it fresh.
I can also go to Kroger and get more frozen pierogies, which is they only have them at Kroger.
I see.
So that's going to happen.
Let me see here. I got an idea.
And maybe I'll get my White Claw while I'm there too, because now I really have a taste for the number 2 variety pack.
Yes.
Someone posted about Claw earlier on Facebook, and I was like, you know what?
Maybe
Haven't
we
had
can
Claw
make
in
for
a while.
a red solo cup party.
Vodclaw?
Oh, I don't know about vodka.
Are we going down the road of Vodclaw again?
But we can make some sort of juice like that includes like our like Hawaiian punch mixed with something.
I liked
like
the V8 splashes that we
Maybe
used
we can
on
do
Sunday.
that.
Those were pretty good.
You need to hire someone to make high-level YouTube, Twitter clips of your show. Yeah, well, you know what? Whenever we start producing the kind of money to do that, I'll do that. But who knows? You never know what may happen. I believe in what we do. I've been watching too much Shark Tank the last couple of days, so now I want to just like go into Shark Tank and be like, I'm offering, 20% of my company for an investment of $100,000.
So we can hire someone to make YouTube clips.
Yep, that's exactly why we would do it, and to pay the rent.
Yep.
What will you be using this $100,000 for? To pay the rent and to hire someone to make high-end YouTube clips.
And probably to take Luther to the vet. He is the namesake of Luther Pup Productions.
Correct. All right, let's see. What should we title this podcast? Nick Cannon is a loon. Is a lunatic. But it's kind of adorable. All right, so here's what we're going to do, though, as I do this. 3 10-minute weekly clips. Well, by the way, I don't know if you saw this there, Jim Stud, but I've done a decent job on my own doing these clips
Yeah,
on
they
YouTube.
actually they look good.
Yeah, so if you go check it out, you look up Josh Ennis Show clips. Now, I do it based on, if I think we had something good that particular day. But let's see here. You know what we do when we get out of here every day, though? I think you know. You know what that is?
It's a 2-day-old tradition.
It's a 2-day-old tradition that will one day become a 3-day-old tradition, and who knows, it may last forever. It's a Bits Blitz. Get your bits in, everybody. You are the lifeblood of the Josh Ennis Show right now, you and our sponsors. But our sponsors have already paid. So now it is your time to contribute to the party as part of the Bits Blitz. Get your bits in now while I'm naming the podcast and describing it to post. Get those bits in, everybody. Thank you, Sean Blair, for the 200 bits. Keep them coming. You know why? When I really get proud of these bits is when people like AJ Hoffman mock me and say, "Oh, how many bits did you get today?" Bitch, I'm making bits. Thank you, Spank It, Slap It. Thank you, Krilla Gorilla. Means a lot. You're wonderful. It's a Bits Blitz bonanza here on the Josh Ennis Show. Bits Blitz.
Stuck.
Bits Blitz.
Steve's not here, man.
Oh, Luther's getting ready. And you know what? I can give you some. I can play the music here. I can also, if you have bits and have a request for a drop, we can do that too. Thank you, Mills Lane. Thank you, Chapito. Thank you, Miller Time. We're just bits blitzing right now, man. Thank you, Bob Sugar. Dropping some bits on you now, making your lives better. We're enjoying our life, our lives, as it were. So feel free, if you have a request, throw in some bits and make your request. I'm like a jukebox. I'm like a drop jukebox. Thank you, JisonFan713. Thank you, PB Guy53. Thank you, John Fitch. Everybody's throwing in the bits, bitches. Boy, we're doing some living. Thank you. Look, is Carrie there? Carrie's dropping some bits today. She's wonderful. Everybody's wonderful here today. Let's see here. I'm not going to play the Kung Flu yet. I will give you that in a second. Spank It, Slap It says World Series.
We are the World Series champion.
That we are. Thank you, Eagles Monkey. Thank you, Jim Stud. People just keep dropping in the bits in the midst of this Bits Blitz. Who doesn't love a good old-fashioned Bits Blitz, everybody? It's how we pay the bills around the Josh Ennis Show compound.
It really is.
That's it. Well, I mean, I'm just keeping it 100.
Much appreciated.
I'm keeping
friends.
it 100% extra real, bitches.
Now listen.
Thank you, Jim Stud. Josh, will you ever shave your head? No, I don't plan on it. I mean, I'm not vehemently opposed to it, but I've done it many times. Not interested in it now. Thank you, Sean Blair, for the bits. Discuss Nick Cannon being a lunatic. What would happen if a white dude rattled off or spouted off some ridiculous no, I don't like the way that sounds. That white boy over there. There is no that white boy over there. I don't have that drop. Who is that? The dude that was on American
That
Idol.
was Bo Bice.
That's who I couldn't. I was looking for it the other day and I couldn't remember the dude's damn name.
Yeah, you could have asked me.
Well, I didn't. I was thinking about it when I was upstairs and not when we were on the couch. Josh, you should get a wood pellet grill and start barbecuing. I almost
Again.
got a wood pellet grill,
We would love to.
but I almost did. I was supposed to get one when I was doing these endorsements, and I just never thought to go get one.
What? They were actually going to give you one?
I think so.
What the hell?
I've really missed out on some things.
How would you not go get that?
I don't know if it was official, because I don't know that I did endorse the place, and I think they were considering giving me one.
Well, hell.
Thank you for the bits, Krilla Gorilla. Want to hear that old school? I don't even know what that means.
You also missed out on a Yeti cooler, which
That is another thing I missed out on.
that would have been nice to have. Up here, we could have kept that thing up here for probably 2 days. It would have kept ice in
I
it.
know.
It would have been like a mini fridge in the studio.
Yeah.
Saved me so many trips from running downstairs.
Thank you, Bry Guy, for the bits.
Remember when we went to the Arctic store? thinking we could find like a discount,
Yes, we didn't.
and every cooler there was still like $500. I would
Yeah.
like one of those though.
There you go. Bits Blitz for everyone. What a time to be alive when we're getting the Bits Blitz going on here. But anyway, so let me finish that here in
Right.
a second. And we'll get out of here. I'll start finding some more drops to add to the party because I can have as many as I want because this is my world and I can do whatever I want because I am an adult.
You don't hear them talking about COVID. COVID.
It's like the theme song of this show.
COVID-19. That name gets further and further.
Did you ever ask Matt about the Coach O stuff?
Oh, I got to do that too. Dude, he never responds to anything I ask.
The Chinese virus. Kung flu. The Chinese virus. Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch? Call it a kung flu. The Chinese virus. Testing is a double-edged sword. They test and they test. People don't know what's going on. We got this. They got this. You do testing. You're gonna find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down. You know what? We got another one over here. The young man's 10 years old. He's got the sniffles. That's a case.
That's a case.
Thank you, China. Send us the plague. Kung flu, the Chinese virus. Kung flu, the Chinese virus. Don't you understand, you
Dumb son of a bitch.
Call it a Kung flu, the Chinese virus. Despite the fact that
I
did a phenomenal job. He lied. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. There was only one person that died. I ran for politics once.
and I became president. You are so lucky I'm president.
There's a limit to what we can achieve. I stand before you today to declare Kung flu, the Chinese virus. Kung flu, the Chinese virus.
Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch?
Call it a Kung flu, the Chinese virus. If I lose an election over that, you know what?
This country's in big
Country's in
trouble.
big trouble. Big trouble.
Big trouble. There you go. All right. So on that note, we have to go get French toast.
Yep.
So